Hola compadres y mamacitas, it's Peter. Capcom used to be amazing. Before they started shooting Street Fighter out of their asses and making terrible Resident Evil games, they used to have something called Megaman. Wow, that name probably sounds a little familiar. Yeah, Megaman is an iconic game. The games are great. The music's amazing. Mega Man 2 is one of my favorite Mega Man games. But the Blue Bomber doesn't take the cake in my book. He loses his spot to the red Reploid with boobs Zero. And this is why Mega Man Zero for the GBA is awesome.
I'm going to break down the history of Zero for you, okay? Zero was created by Dr. Wily, the antagonist in the Mega Man series. Dr. Wily created Zero for one sole purpose. His last creation, Bass, could never defeat Mega Man, and Wily was fed up of always losing. So he decided, why not make a death machine? So he created Zero. But sadly, Wily made Zero too strong and too crazy. He would not obey any command. Zero would just destroy anything. So Wily had to seal Zero away. Zero was Dr. Wily's greatest creation, no doubt. It's better than Spring Man and Top Man, Choo Choo Train Man. Yeah, Albert, you did stupid. Too bad Dr. Wily croaked before he can see Zero in action. Many years later, Mega Man X takes place. Robots are more advanced now. They're considered Reploids. They act as human on a mental level. They think and feel, and they have the ability to make their own decisions. They coexist with humans too, so they do daily tasks.
You ever see iRobot? Yeah, kind of like them robots, but a little bit more like fleshy.
During the Mega Man X timeline, ancient lab ruins, or aka Dr. Wily's lab, were being investigated. The investigation was held out by none other than Sigma, a Maverick hunter. Maverick hunters are people who hunt robots that have gone cray and attack Reploids and humans and create havoc among civilization. After Zero was awoke from the so-called beauty sleep, him and Sigma engaged into battle. Sigma thought he would win because he was the most advanced Reploid at the time, but Dr. Wily made Zero so strong, so bloodlustful, even though they're robots, so they don't have blood, they have oil and stuff. But anyway, with that, they engaged into battle. Sigma was really destroyed. Zero ripped off his arm, tore off his face flesh, but Sigma won due to a W appearing on Zero's forehead. This W made Zero feel agony and pain. This unknown W is speculated by fans to be created by Dr. Wily, being a W and all. It was programmed so when Zero went on his temper tantrums and started blowing it up, Wily just switched it on, and Zero ultimately felt the pain and agony, and Wily could put him back in his time machine capsule like a doll in a playhouse. After Zero's defeat, though, a virus was let loose. It went inside Zero and got rid of all his flawed programming, so it was a good thing. He didn't turn crazy anymore. He was just a civil robot with a new mindset. But it went inside Sigma also, and inside Sigma it slowly turned him mad. It gave him the power to control the minds of other Reploids, and bada bing bada boom, the new villain arises. With that, Zero and X became Maverick Hunters, and they had only one thing to do, is defeat villain Sigma. Again, and again, and again. Sometime after Mega Man 6, the last canon game, Zero let himself be sealed away to be studied by scientists. In his study, something new was created, called the Cyber Elf. Cyber Elves are pure energy with artificial intelligence, kind of like Phi or Demon Lord's Girahim from the Zelda series. They were invented for one sole purpose, in aiding the Reploids to help end the Maverick Wars. There are three main types of Cyber Elves. The Anima Elf, which are designed to look like birds and monkeys, provide direct combat support, enhancing a Reploid's ability or even joining them in battle. The Nurse Elf, which heals Reploid's life energy or becomes sub-tanks, and lastly a Hacker Elf, which can eliminate enemies on a field.
Now that's all the history you need to know about Zero before the Mega Man Zero games take place. Now here are the games.
The first game starts up with a cutscene of a young girl named Dr. Ciel running in the middle of some sort of robotic jungle with a bunch of resistant soldiers who are firing these useless guns at some Mega Man X looking chuchadeals called Pantheons. These Pantheons pack a what the Is that blood?
Whoa, blood in a Mega Man game? That can't be right. I thought this game was rated E. That's what I thought when I was a child, but wait, hold on. Yeah, it says it right here, rated E for everyone. Oh wait, those soldiers are Reploids. Reploids are robots. Robots run on oil. Ah, In the Japanese version of the game, when you slash an enemy, this red oil splurts out of them. Now, Capcom will notice sensitizing the American version, they thought, oh god, this is too violent for the mass media of children. But they forgot to take out the sprite blood from the Reploid soldiers, and since they look the most human, it's awfully mistaken as blood, but in fact it's just oil.
With that in mind, the Resistance soldiers are still in trouble because these golems are released and lay waste to the rest of the Resistance soldiers, making them look like a bunch of Gakavajolts. Dr. Ciel and the remaining soldiers are trapped until one of them realizes, why don't I blow the wall up? And they do, and inside that wall lays the red hero himself, Zero. One of the soldiers goes to investigate the Shrine of Zero, but is blocked by a force field. Time's running out because the Pathonians are getting closer and closer and lay waste to the remaining 2 Resistance soldiers. Dr. Ciel's there in shock and scared, doesn't know what to do until her cyber elf Passy decides, Ciel, use me. Ciel is, no, I can't do it, Passy. But she ultimately does. Passy sacrifices herself, and don't worry, she's not an important character at all because she's never mentioned in the goddamn games again. But she sacrifices herself, destroys the force field, heals Zero, epic music plays, and Megaman Zero is about to begin. And then after that, Dr. Ciel is all like, Zero, ayúdame, like some damn novella. And the first mission of the game is an escort mission, but it doesn't matter, because Dr. Ciel's a freaking badass. She can take as much damage as she wants. So you pick up a buster, drop it, one of the dead Resistance soldiers, and somehow it makes it stronger, because you can destroy the enemies now. You dash forward, bam, boom, pop, this shit's better than Call of Duty. You destroy all the enemies, you get to a dead end. It's an unstable platform, and Dr. Ciel decides to waltz on, and she steps on it, and it breaks, and you dash forward, and you grab her, and cradle in your arms like a damn hero and a freaking badass. You drop down, and she didn't learn her lesson last time, so she decides to walk forward again, and a hand grabs her and draws her back. It's one of those Truchidillo golems that laid waste to those freaking Schwalt of Resistance soldiers. So you have your buster in your hand, you're shooting the damn thing, and you're like, rat! And it's not working, and then the screen glows, and it's like Zero takes this, and it throws a freaking Z-Saber, and you grab the Z-Saber, and you slash the golem, you cradle Cell.
Ooh, I need a cigarette after that opening.
Oh god! If you can't tell, I love the opening to Mega Man Zero. The opening cutscenes pump you up. The music pumps you up. How it plays out pumps you up. I can't wait to play more. So after you protect Ciel from the explosion, she tells you to step on this teleporter and teleport back to the Resistance base because she'll fill you in with all the details you need to know since you're suffering from hibernation sickness and you have amnesia. Joy. So she tells you she's a runaway from Neo Arcadia. Neo Arcadia was a safe place, a utopia for humans and Reploids. But now Reploids are being persecuted for the satisfaction of humans. And Dr. Ciel, who is a human, is trying to protect these innocent Reploids. So she made a place called the Resistance, a base to protect these innocent Reploids. She then asks you, Zero, would you be able to help me and the Resistance soldiers because you are the legendary hero and you can save these Reploids? So after you say yes, you go on a few missions. Your first mission of the game is you have to rescue Resistance soldiers who are being retired, aka killed, by Neo Arcadian forces in a disposal center. And well, it's a pretty easy mission. And wait, did you just say X is trying to kill them? That doesn't make sense. He was created by Dr. Light to protect peace and order. Well, maybe she'll tell us a little bit more after we complete the first mission. This mission is there for a training mission, even though you could still fail it. In this mission, you can learn how to use your saber properly, how to use your buster, how close you can get to an enemy, when you need to use a dash jump in order to get over an obstacle. If not, you'll fall into spikes. And also, you can level up your saber and buster. The more times you use your weapons, the more stars you get. And then when you have more stars, you can do more attacks, you can shoot more bullets, you can do a rolling slash with the Z-Saber. And also, you can find cyber elves in the field. Now, like typical Mega Man fashion, at the end of the level there's a boss, and when you defeat the boss, well, in Mega Man Zero you don't get their skill. You can get 3 types of chips. And there's only 3 chips in this game. An electric chip, a fire chip, and an ice chip. Ice works against like electric enemies, electric works against fire enemies, and fire works against ice enemies. After you complete a mission, you get a letter grade, ranging from S being the best to F being the worst. The letter grade is determined by points, and the point breakdown is this. How much time it took you to complete the mission. If you completed the mission 100%, how many enemies you killed, how much damage you took, how many cyber elves you used during the mission, how many cyber elves you found during the mission, and lastly, how many times you died during the mission. But be careful though, if you get a game over, you will never be able to complete the mission again. You completely fail it for good, and when you start the game again, Dr. Ciel will be like, oh, I'm sorry, Zero, I put you on such a hard mission that you couldn't save the base, you couldn't get us the energy crystals, bada bing, bada boom. She gives you a whole depressing speech and you feel bad about yourself.
The controls are beautiful, I tell you. They're perfectly built for a handheld system. Everything you need is right by your thumbs, and you're going to have no problem quickly switching to dashing to jumping to shooting. It's perfectly built for the handheld, like I said, either for the Game Boy Advance or the 3DS. When you get hit, it's your own fault. You need to learn and strategize how to play this game, because it's a little different, since you now have a sword, so you get into close combat. But like the old Mega Man games and like the Mega Man X games, they control nice and tight, so it's perfect.
Now, the first game is kind of different from regular Mega Man fashion. You don't see what boss you're going to be facing. She just gives you the objective of the mission, and then you can take it. And being a legendary Reploid hero, Dr. Ciel is going to give you a few missions. Now, these missions don't really move the story, but they're there because the resistant base needs your help. First, you gotta destroy an engine core, then you have to retrieve data from the place that you were sleeping so Dr. Steel can study you more, and you have to fight a gigantic elephant. Then you have to occupy a factory that has energy crystals, you have to find a shuttle in the desert, you have to find a hidden base and fight Sarah Palin. And then after those missions, the story starts to move a little bit. Now, after you defeat all those bosses, well, like I said before, you don't get their skills like in the old Mega Man games, but they do make up for it. In this game, you can get 2 additional weapons. You can get the shield boomerang and the triple rod. The triple rod is like a staff, and it's really powerful. Now, these weapons are not necessary to complete the game. They're completely optional, but they're really good. And the more you use the weapons, the more skills you can use. For example, for the triple staff, you could spin it around like one of the girls spinning a baton, but it can destroy and obliterate any enemy. Or you could charge the boomerang shield, and it can spin around you and like be a shield and a weapon. It's really cool. Zero is starting to come to a close. We get introduced to the 4 Guardians, the 4 hardest bosses in the game. These Guardians were designed after Master X's splitting image to help and aid people after the war, to help mostly humans and Reploids. Now, Master X, since he's the leader of Neo Arcadia and these 4 Guardians serve him no matter what, they're going to attack the resistant base, so it's up to Zero to defeat him. Now you're going to face your first and most important Guardian. In this mission, you have to rescue some Schvolt named Kolber, who's been trying to investigate the base but ultimately got attacked. So you dash forward, bam, boom, bob, kill all the enemies, and well, you start seeing all these dead resistant soldiers. You're like, what the hell is going on? You walk forward, and Kolber is about to be killed by this green Reploid. After that, you save Kolber, you tell him to run, and you start your first battle. Harpuya is his name. He introduces himself. You must be Zero. I am legendary Guardian Harpuya, sent by Master X to retire you. You fight into combat, and now, after that, he tells you he'll come back and face you one more time. Then you're going to fight a man named Fear in the desert. He's the guns, the military commander of the Guardians. This mission, the Neo Arcadian forces are starting to develop in the desert. So you go out, you defeat those forces. After that, the resistant base is starting to be hacked. And what you have to do is go to the base, and it's a water level. And you know, the water levels are always fun. You have to face Lethiatha. So after you just stop the hacking, you face Lethiatha. And lastly, the last Guardian, Phantom. Phantom's mission is interesting because as soon as you get into the area, you face him right there. Normally you face the boss at the end of the Mega Man level. No. You face him right there. And then this schmuck decides after you defeat him, he hit all bombs all over the factory that you have to defuse. It's not a fun mission. It's the most difficult. After you defeat the 4 Guardians, the Neo Arcadians are at the resistant base, and they're attacking, and your blood's pumping, and you're ready to protect the resistant base, and it's the quickest mission in the game, so don't worry about it. But what's interesting, though, is before the mission starts, and after the siren's horn that the resistance are under attack by the Neo Arcadian forces, Dr. Ciel says, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Zero, it's all my fault," and Zero is like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, I'm the one who caused all this problem. I'm the one who regenerated X. And Zero is like, "Nani? What do you mean regenerated? Like how you resurrected me?" She's like, no, it's different. You're an original, meaning you're exactly like what you used to be, but X is, and an explosion goes off. And that's when you start the mission. With some thinking, you can realize that X is actually a copy, so the one who's causing all these problems is not the legit X. What happened was, when Neo Arcadia was built, it needed a leader. And X was busy doing something that's going to play an important role in the next game. But Dr. Ciel was a really smart scientist, and she's only 14 years old, so she made a copy version of X to lead Neo Arcadia. Now, after Zero defends the base, Dr. Ciel thanks you so much. She's like, Zero, thank you for all you have done. And Zero then says, you'll only be happy if I eliminate that copy X. And then Ciel says, yes, but there's no way we can get into Neo Arcadia. Their system, we can't hack into it. And all of a sudden, what comes down is that cyber elf that threw the Z-Saber at you. And he says, go, I have hacked into the system. Now persecute that copy version of me. Now, before you get to face Copy X, you have to go into 2 locations in Neo Arcadia. Kind of like before you defeat Dr. Wily in Mega Man 2, you have to go through certain areas until you get to the final boss. It's like that, except without the map. You just go through the first section of Neo Arcadia, you go to the second section of Neo Arcadia, and then you get to the Neo Arcadian Shrines. Like similar Mega Man games, right before you face Copy X, you have to defeat all the old bosses, and you have to defeat the 4 Guardians. After you defeat Phantom, he decides to blow himself up in the name of X, and he doesn't do any damage to Zero, so he ended up being just a schmuck. And right before you enter Copy X's room, they appear, and they're like, stop, we won't let you attack. They're not worrying about their brother Phantom, because they're all brothers and sisters. They're not worrying about their brother Phantom, who just blew himself up. But they want to protect X. That's their main mission. No matter what, they're there to protect and serve X. Then Copy X appears and tells the 4 Guardians to go. Once that happens, then Copy X puts on his ultimate armor and the battle begins. His first form is not that difficult. All he does is jump and shoot and bada bing, bada boom, bam, boom, boop. You slash, you shoot, you kill him, you twirl your batons, you defeat him. And after you defeat him, Zero snickers. The original X was stronger than this. And Copy X didn't like that, so he screams and then turns into a goddamn butterfly. Ciel, I have a question. When you were building Copy X, were you like, you know what the original X was missing? A butterfly mode. You and Aizen would get along so well. You know, with him is Hogyoku butterfly mode and your butterfly X. Why don't you just go for tea and crumpets? But anyway, his butterfly mode is not that hard either for a final boss in the game. And I was kind of disappointed, but it was still an amazing game. So after you defeat him, if he decides to pull a Phantom and try to blow up 3, you dash out and, well, then you end up on the desert unconscious. And all of a sudden, that mystery cyber elf comes down again and tells you, since you disappeared, it's been really, really hard. The hardest part was when I was fighting this war, I discovered I no longer cared about fighting my enemies. And then he reveals himself, and it looks like X wearing a robe, but still, it's pretty cool. Then Zero gets up, and he's like, so it be. We were the best partners. I'll do what you want me to do. Take a rest, buddy. And then he turns around, and it's 100 of those Pathonians freaking Chuchadeals, and
Now that's a good game, Capcom. Why can't you do this anymore? But I digress. Mega Man Zero 1 is either loved or hated by fans, and the reason why it's hated is because of its difficulty. It's difficult in the beginning, but once you get to use your Cyber Elves to help level up your health tank, which most people die on because of low health, the game comes really, really easy. So yeah, once you learn how to play the game, it becomes incredibly fun, and you want to get those high ranks. But Mega Man Zero 1 didn't answer all my questions. What happened to Zero? What happened to Neo Arcadia? What happened to X? Well, my compadres y mamacitas, we'll get the answer in Mega Man Zero 2. So, shall we begin?
it's been a year since the last battle, and Zero has taken a different path from Dr. Ciel. Still fights Neo Arcadia, but these battles he's been fighting has lost meaning, and he wonders,
What? What am I fighting for?
he knows he should return back to Dr. Ciel. And all of a sudden, what's that? Pathonians? That can only mean another freaking epic intro! My god, this is an epic opening. You dash forward and you start destroying those Pathonians and making them look like a bunch of Gaka Vajolts, and all of a sudden you have to fix golems and you have to defeat a couple of them, and they're stronger than the freaking first Chuchadeo golems. So you blow them up, and after that you dash forward and you slash and gash more enemies, and then it's a freaking Mechaloid Scorpion, and this day, baby, is tough when you first play this game. So you shoot the damn thing, you slash it, and it blows up, and then all of a sudden you're like, I used all my energy. Por qué? This is where it ends. And you fall down, and all of a sudden it's the freaking Neo Arcadian theme. The 4 Guardians, well 3, because Phantom blew himself up. But anyway, Harpuya flies down on Aztec Falcon, and he's like, Zero, to live or to die. The resistant base is now led by this very flamboyant man named Elpizo, who I swear was a girl, and I thought it was just bad translation from Japanese to English. But anyway, this fabulous man named Elpizo, he's like Demon Lord Girahim, but a little less fabulous. He's leading the resistant base. He's a runaway from Neo Arcadia and decides, let's crush the Neo Arcadian forces and bring peace and order to the world. But we really don't care about him. We just care about Zero. So what happens is Zero gets repaired, gets a new upgrade, and it's all good. And you get 2 additional weapons. Now you have the shield boomerang when you start the game, and you have this chain link rod. You don't have the triple staff anymore, but this chain link rod is kind of like it. It's more of a hook shot, like from the Legend of Zelda series. So awoke from your new upgrade, you introduce yourself to Elpizo, and well, you decide to help the resistant base again. What feature is added in the game is now you still have the electric fire and thunder chip, but now you also have forms. Here's your normal form, your active form, your energy form, your defense form, your rise form, your proto form, your X form, your power form, your race form, and your ultimate form. For example, some of these forms power up your buster, they can make your Z-Saber faster, you don't have to charge your attacks anymore. You know, you can level up your attack, but it also sacrifices your defense. Something new to spice the game up. You finally get to see the boss sprite, so you know who you're going to be facing at the end of the area. After completing a mission with an A or S rank, you get something new. When you defeat the boss, you get their EX skill. You could do different moves with the saber, the buster, the boomerang shield, and the chain rod. The only important part of the mission is once you complete the forest mission, X comes down and he says, I can no longer arrest Zero, but both baby elves have been awakened. They are looking for their mother. The mother, the dark elf, that I sealed away. Then he flies away. The dark elf? What could that possibly be? And X sealed his original body away? So after you complete your missions, well, Elpizo decides, since I'm the leader of the new resistant base, that means I'm so strong. Why don't I just attack Neo Arcadia? Because what could possibly go wrong? You have to go save his ass. You enter Neo Arcadia and whoa, there's a lot of dead resistant schmucks. Well, anyway, you continue on with your mission. At the end, you find Elpizo, and you find the 3 guardians. Harpuya, Fafir, and Lethiatha. After you collect Elpizo, Harpuya says, you know, he won't thank you. But then, you know, why the hell not? They decide to just drop a bomb on the resistant base. So, that's your next mission. This mission's pretty straightforward. All you have to do is really just go through the aircraft, then go to the commando room, teleport Dr. Ciel in, let her do a little dirty work, protect her, and well then, the final part of the game's about to begin. So apparently Elpizo broke a nail or something because he's extremely pissed at his loss at the Neo Arcadia. But what does he expect? He was a Reploid who was going in against really strong forces. But Elpizo decides, there's only one option, Zero. I, Elpizo, Mr. Fabulous, will go after the baby elves and use their power. Their power to destroy Neo Arcadia and become a hero. So being a legendary Reploid, well, now you have to be Sherlock Holmes and find where Elpizo is. You find him in the middle of the woods, and he got his hands on both baby elves. Cyber Elf X did not have enough power to stop Elpizo, so Elpizo leaves with the 2 baby elves to head to Neo Arcadia's core to release the Mamacita herself, the Mother Elf. Before you go, X comes down and he begs you, please, stop Elpizo before he releases the Dark Elf. So X sacrificed his body many years ago during a war so he can seal the power of the Mother Elf, which turned dark. With that, in order to activate the Dark Elf and Elpizo to gain this power, he has to destroy X's original body. So I expect you to help him not destroy his original body. You go through Neo Arcadia. You find Fafir and Lethiatha, and they're willing to do anything to defeat you. So they use the power of the Dark Elf to gain this ultimate form, but you defeat them, so there's no problem. But what's odd is Harpooya is actually on your side. Harpooya is trying to defeat Elpizo, but Elpizo uses the power of the Dark Elf and then uses the Dark Elves to go inside Harpooya to make him activate this form. But Harpooya begs you to kill him, but you ultimately don't. So after you defeat Harpooya, there's only one man to face, Elpizo, and hopefully you can stop him before he releases the Dark Elf. That, you finally get to face Elpizo, and you're in a room, and what is that over there? Is that X? Elpizo decides to stab and blow X's original body up, then frees the Mother Elf, and then fuses together. And then you fight Elpizo when he turns into this ultimate form, and it's exactly like the first game. You fight Elpizo that's kind of designed like Copy X. So after you defeat this form of Elpizo, well, he's not that happy with defeat. So he's
furious, outraged, sick with anger,
and decides to turn into a goddamn butterfly. Okay, this is the only gripe I have with this game. It's a lot like the first game in the final boss fight, but it doesn't make the game bad. Anyway, so you fight Elpizo butterfly mode, and I know butterflies are supposed to symbolize death, but whatever. After you defeat him, well, he's lying there and he's like, I was wrong, Zero, forgive me. And, well, he dies. And when a Reploid dies, they turn into a cyber elf. So, he's a cyber elf now. So after that, then Cyber Elf X appears and says, Zero, she wasn't always called the Dark Elf. She had another name. She was the Mother Elf. She was extremely powerful and extremely helpful until someone laid a curse on her. I had no choice to seal her away, and then Zero is like, that sounds familiar, that name. The Mother Elf. The Dark Elf. Slowly, Zero is trying to remember things. Slowly, Zero is regaining his memory, but is it enough? But hey, oh, don't turn off the game before the credits end, because you get greeted to this extra cutscene of some voice saying, it's time to awake, Omega. And my compadres y mamacitas, my fans, my haters, and I think my cousin Gabby watches his videos, so, and Gabby, well, Megaman Zero 3 is about to take place, and boy, the story is good.
Once again, guys, thank you for watching the first part of Mega Man Zero is awesome. I really appreciate it. Every time you view or watch one of my videos, I make money, and that money is automatically donated to the Alzheimer's Research Fund, so you're helping fighting a cause. If you can, please spread my videos around by liking, commenting, and subscribing. I would really appreciate it. Thanks again, and I can't wait to see you guys in part 2.